No, this isn't a display of bad manners. The children you see here were being medically examined in London before joining in the great trek to the West Country in the government's evacuation scheme.
World War II, rationing, the Blitz, such important parts of London's history. But what this exhibition tries to show are the personal stories of Londoners and what they would have gone through during that time. And they've done that by focusing on one family. Before and during the Second World War, the Allpress household was a busy one. 2 parents and at one stage 10 children. This is an exact recreation of the house they lived in.
We wanted to continue showing to our visitors what life was like on the British home front during the Second World War. Yeah. And the Allpress family were a wonderful family to illustrate that. The ladies of the house were all involved with the WVS, the Women's Voluntary Service, which was vital for the civil defence services. 2 boys went into the forces. Harry won the military medal.
Well, Harry, now 93, is the only living member of the original Allpress family. The Lambeth home he grew up in still exists. But what did he make of it almost 70 years on? What's it like seeing it? Because it obviously was damaged in the war, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I came home once on leave and the windows were all blown out and the door was hanging off. And I went in and shouted, "Anybody home?" Got no reply. I went into the garden, they were all in the Anderson shelter.
What was it like when you did come back and you saw that?
When you're being bombed, there's nothing you can do about it. You've got to just sit there and take it and keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I don't remember the school being a big school like that.
But while the circumstances, as well as the house, may have changed, some of the neighbours haven't. A chance to catch up and to reminisce.
So if you stayed around here, you'd be the oldest and last member of the street.
Definitely.
You would take the weight off my shoulders.
Lucrezia Minorini, London Tonight.
Where's he gone? Thanks. I want to hear that. Ollie just asked me how much I paid.
Oi, oi! Nice to walk.
We're going to have to walk, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm guessing so. No, that's just the wind coming down the tunnel. I'm surprised there's...
Joy?
No, it's a random picture, I think. A random children's photo. I think it's a random picture of evacuees. Not anybody that we know.
Where's the thing?
Video?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Okay, thanks. Any porridge for anyone?
No thanks.
Thank you.
Is that my macro lens?
I can see you without it. And now it's all creasy. Are you know? Was you know? Have you not been? Wait, it might just be like government.
Yes. I had this picture at work and somebody said, I know where it is. She said, I think it's Toledo. And I said, what? I said, I don't know. So she got a picture of Toledo today. The other one, that one where they're walking.
Work it.
That's ours. That's ours. Yeah.
I remember that it must have been about the Thursday before war broke out. I think, if I recall, war broke out on a Sunday. I was evacuated, big double-decker buses, the red double-decker buses, masses of them outside the school, taking the whole school, lock, stock and barrel, teachers, pupils, everything. And we all went down to Wokingham. I don't remember very much about the journey other than the fact that I was terribly unhappy. The fact that this was really my first time away from any of my family, and it was an absolute tragedy that I was being taken away. I just couldn't understand it. Why have I got to leave my family? With all these children, some of them were my friends, most of them I didn't know anyway because it was quite a big school. There we were, all herded away in these buses, miles away from home, and Wokingham's, what, about 40 miles from London? But it was the other end of the earth at that age. And I remember getting off the bus and going into a, I suppose it was what you'd call today a community centre in Wokingham, and there were all of these children sitting down who were given glasses of milk to drink and squash. It seemed quite pandemonium because it was a fairly smallish hall, and there were all of these hundreds and hundreds of children. There couldn't have been, but everything is so much bigger when you're younger, seems so much bigger. And then parents started to come into the hall, and we were allocated to, or most of us were allocated to somebody that was going to be a foster parent. And people were coming and taking boys from this hall, and they were disappearing, and I didn't know where they went to, whether they were ever seen again or not. But I remember getting a bit anxious because the hall was gradually getting more and more empty, and there was me still sitting there with my little name tag on my lapel of my coat and my St John Bowyer hat on, feeling terrified, not knowing what the dickens was going to happen. And I remember that there was just 2 of us left, so I must have been a right ugly duckling. Nobody wanted to know me. And eventually one lady agreed to take one extra after being pressed by one of the, I don't know what they called them then, billeting officers, I suppose. And I eventually found myself in a house in Wokingham with, I think it was a Mrs Hynitz, something like that, who already had 2 children of her own. We weren't equal in the family, we were very much children up from London. And it was just a duty that these people accepted us.